Hello and welcome to my short film on how to replace the stabilizer bar bushes on a 56 Mercury. The same would apply to most Ford products, American Ford products of the 50s and probably going up to 60s and 70s, and probably quite a few other manufacturers. It's quite a simple job. Takes no more than a couple of hours all in. But hopefully I can give you a few pointers before you attempt it yourself.
Right, here is the anti-roll bar, as it's called in the UK, or sway bar as it's called in the States. It's linked to each lower wishbone by this vertical with the bolts top and bottom, and a pair of rubber bushes top and bottom. Let's get in a bit closer and you'll see how badly perished those rubbers are. The bar then goes up to this bracket which is bolted to the chassis, and again the same thing the other side. And this one you might be able to see a bit better how perished that rubber actually is. There's actually a sizable gap between the rubber and the sway bar itself, so that produces an interesting clunk when you go around the corner, especially over a bump and turning at the same time. So that's what we're going to be replacing today. But I thought I'd just show you how bad this top rubber is. I mean, that's just, look at that play. It's doing nothing whatsoever. I shouldn't think, yeah, the bottom's not doing any good either, look at that. So that's why you get interesting clunks that's going around corners. Right, here's the parts we're going to be using. These are the bars at both ends with the bushes, so you actually replace the entire piece. You've got a long bolt, a metal sleeve, washers, so you've got the left and the right. I think they're both the same, they're not actually handed. These I got from Cantor Auto products, and these are the chassis bushes, and these came from Dennis Carpenter, really good Ford specialist. Stabilizer bushing kit, so stabilizer bar, sway bar, anti-roll bar, it's all the same thing. So I'm going to take these out the bags and offer them up to make sure they're actually the right bits before I start dismantling. Right, here's the uprights there, out of the bag, and sort of put it together. There's two bushes at the top and two at the bottom. It seems to be about right. The sleeve in the middle seems a bit shorter, but then the bushes are a bit thicker, so it seems to be the same thing. Overall it's the same length, so I can't see that causing any problem. And then the chassis bracket there does appear to be the right sort of size. It's got these little bumps on the side which seem to correspond with that sort of bump there on the bracket. So the next thing is to undo all these bolts, which are going to be fun because it looks like they've been there since new. So I'm going to spray a load of WD-40 on them first and then start undoing. Hopefully that's a captive nut behind there in the chassis. Give that a good old squirt. It's 9/16 bolts. Oh, that's easy. Worryingly easy. I expected a struggle there. That's it, starting to go. In actual fact, probably would have been more sensible to remove this one before undoing the chassis bracket, because the chassis bracket holds it in position. I'll do that on the other side. Right, there we go. That's the bottom lot. I'll leave that in for a moment until we do the other side. Right, that's both ends detached. That's fairly easy to do. But to take the bar out completely, I've got to remove this piece of tin. It's kind of like a sort of sump guard or a splash guard. By the looks of things, it's just got 4 bolts to each end. So I shall just undo those and see if we can get the bar out. Oh, that was a bit of a pain. Anyway, that's off. There's a wire here which seems to go to the generator, which looks like that was clipped onto the splash pan there. Anyway, here's the anti-roll bar. So hopefully we get that out now. Now, interestingly, I've just turned the wheel to the right, which should be the room. Hey, that's the one. Yeah, just turning the steering to the right slightly is enough to get it out. Right, the next thing is to fit these rubbers, and basically they've got to fit over here, which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to pop them into some very hot water to soften up. I've got a little plan which may or may not work. The old ones I just hacksawed through and cut them off. Modern rubber bushings like this actually have a split down the side or down the back here, so they just pop over, and I was tempted to actually cut the new bushing so it does that, but bearing in mind that the new ones are solid and the old ones were also solid, that's the cut that I made, then perhaps it'd be a good idea not to cut them. Also got some red rubber grease. Very important not to use petrol based greases on rubber, as it will harm them. It will swell the rubber and rubber will deteriorate quicker. So this stuff is good for rubber. It's actually helps treat rubber as well, so generally a good thing. Right. It's hot. Right, I've had these bushings soaking in very hot water, soften them up. I'm going to squish it with a clamp, try and make a bit of an oval hole. Let's get a bit of that red rubber grease over it. Inside here. Rubber mallet.
Yes, success.
Right, got the bar back on the vehicle, or back in position, so make sure you get it the right way around. It's pretty obvious there's only two ways it will go. One way it certainly won't fit. First bit is I'm going to put the two brackets in position. Let's get that done up, not all the way, so they're still moving, because there'll be lots of adjusting to do. It's always a good idea to get all the bolts in place loosely, and once you know everything's in place and everything fits, and then tighten them up. Right, that's the bar in place. Still got to tighten up the bolts and the brackets, but before that we'll get these links fitted. Right, it's fairly simple. One rubber on each side of the bar and one rubber on each side of the bottom bracket there. Put a little bit of grease on the inside here. Washer, then sleeve, then washer, then rubber through the bracket, rubber, washer, and finally the nut. Right, everything's in place now. It's now just a case of tightening all the bolts. It's all been put in there sort of finger tight, adjusted up so everything seems central. Right, that's all nicely tightened up. Everything sits nicely and in position. I will, however, check these bolts after having driven it a little bit and going over some bumps and steered, to make sure that they either are not too tight or need sort of tightening up a bit once it's settled down. And obviously I'll put the splash pan back in and good to go.